Many people questioned, where was God during the Holocaust? But not the people that were in the Holocaust. The people that weren't in the Holocaust asked that question. Because many of the people that were in the Holocaust, they knew exactly what God was. They knew exactly what God was. The ones that ask that question typically are people that are addicted to some form of desire or another. And therefore, that desire serves as their bribe that does not allow them to see the truth of what it is. That not only was God there during the Holocaust, but He's the one that did it. Because that's what He said He will do. In the Torah, multiple times. When we forsake Him, when we intermarry, when we are dishonest in business, and so on and so forth. Now many not only got closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu during the Holocaust, but saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hand literally holding them through the most trying of times. And one of the greatest tzaddikim that I think ever lived in this world, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the Gilgul of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the Klausenberger Rebbe, Rebbe Mitzantz, who himself went through the Holocaust, was there for 9 months, saw his wife and 11 kids get murdered in cold blood by these Nazis, Yimach Shemam v'Zichram. Just like Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, that lost all 10 of his kids, and one day when somebody was crying about losing one of his children, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai came to him and sat with him and make him feel better. He says, "Thank you, Rebbe." He goes, yeah, Baruch HaShem, I'm happy to help you feel better. He says, "What about your kids?" "Oh, here." He opens up a little box. He shows him a tooth. He says, "What's that?" He says, "That's what's left of my 10 kids. He says, "And Rebbe, you're here with me, crying with me about me losing one, you lost 10? Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says to him, "If I was in your position spiritually, I would cry too. I would cry like you. So I'm not crying because your one is more than my 10. I'm crying because your spiritual status gives you a certain understanding of what this one means and what it doesn't mean. I know who runs the show. I know who's the boss." The Klausenberger Rebbe didn't let the Holocaust slow him down. Not only did he remarry and rebuild a family, his son currently leads the Kehillah in Tzanz in Netanya. Extraordinary Kehillah. He built a yeshivot in America, in Europe, in Israel, hospitals, all types of things. Literally, there's an entire neighborhood of his Hasidim everywhere. Shtabach Shemo. Something unbelievable. Not only did the Holocaust not slow him down, it literally made him greater than what he was even beforehand. But one of the news stories that I heard about him that shocked me, I think, more than any other story, and I've read his bio and I've read about him, but this story has a completely different meaning. It puts everything else in different perspective. The Rebbe Mitzantz, the first Yom Kippur, after the Holocaust is finished, the evil Nazis have been defeated. For some time, the Americans continued to torture the Jews also in the camps, by the way, just as a side note for anyone who didn't know. The only thing that the Americans didn't do is they didn't kill us. We died by ourselves. Until HaKadosh Baruch Hu had more mercy on us and He stopped that too. But nonetheless, eventually that ended. A general by the name of Dwight Eisenhower came to the camp, saw the Klausenberger Rebbe, agreed to meet with all the different leaders for 10 minutes, but with the Rebbe, which he didn't understand, because he spoke Yiddish. He spoke to him for an hour and a half, hearing the Rebbe cry about everything that they went through. They asked Eisenhower, "Do you know what he's saying?" He says, "I don't need to know his language. I know what his heart is saying." And he listened to him cry about Am Yisrael and what we went through in the Holocaust for an hour and a half. At the end of the hour and a half, Eisenhower asks the Klausenberger Rebbe, what can I do to help? And he says, Mr. President, what you can do, he goes, no, I'm not the president. I'm not the president, and I don't even want to be the president. The Klausenberger Rebbe says to him, you're going to be the president whether you like it or you don't like it. Everybody left until it came true. And while he was president, he said many times, he owes his presidency to the Rebbe Mitzans, the Klausenberger Rebbe. Now, this is the same type of story that Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai had with the Caesar, Vespasian, before he became the Caesar, before he became the leader. But I'm not sure if this next part of the story was part of Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai's. The first Yom Kippur that the Klausenberger Rebbe was able to pray like a regular person, people came to pray with him, and he's the Chazan. Anyone that had the merit to listen to his prayers, we have one of his prayers on our website and channels. Simply, if you don't cry, you should check your pulse. And it's a regular prayer on a Tuesday. It's not Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, he prayed. And he starts the Kol Nidre, and he starts the Vidui. And the Vidui says, Chatanu, we're guilty. That's what the Vidui says. But he says, Chatanu, we're guilty? What are we guilty of? What did we do during the Holocaust? What could we do? Gazalnu? We stole? What could we possibly steal in a concentration camp? What was there to steal? Oh, yes, he says. And this is all with tears, crying. Yes. One night I came and after they worked me for several days without sleep or eating or anything, and I finally got to the barracks, I collapsed from exhaustion, but my skin got caught up between two wooden planks and ripped. So I started crying from the pain and agony, and it woke up my sleep buddy. Yeah, so I stole his sleep. You're right, HaShem, I did steal, yes. And then he says, Dibarnu Dofi. When did we speak Lashon Hara? In the concentration camps. Who had energy to speak Bichlal? Who can possibly speak? Latznu. We scoffed, we joked around. How can you joke around in the valley of death? And this is what he did with every single word in the Vidui. Talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, defending Am Yisrael that's praying with him, all Holocaust survivors. Defending Am Yisrael, saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. At the end of the Vidui, he closes the Machzor, and he says to the people, this Vidui, it wasn't written for us. But we do need to do Vidui, he says. Because the sins that we made are not written in this Vidui. The sins that we made must have our tshuva. How many of us wished for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take our neshama because we couldn't deal with the pain anymore? How many of us asked to die? How many of us that saw that one of the people in the barracks didn't wake up that day? He died in his sleep. And we looked at him with envy, hoping that we would die the next day. How many of us? How many of us forgot that we're Jews, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching us? Yes, we sinned, but our sin was a lack of Emuna. Our sin was not having enough bitachon in HaShem. That's what our sin is. And he says to them with screaming and agony and pain and tears, we have to do tshuva for not having Emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and beg him to forgive us. And promise we will never forget that we are Jews and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us at all times. That type of Emuna, Rabotai, is possible for each and every single Jew. Every Jew is capable of acquiring that type of Emuna. Not overnight, not even in a week, but each in his own time, at his own level, with enough effort to eliminate the bribe, that Emuna will come by itself. When a person eliminates the bribe, eliminates that yetzirah, eliminates that desire that tells you to do what is prohibited, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said don't do, the more you fight that yetzirah, the more you're leaving an opening for that Emuna to come. Suddenly, you're not worried about how you're going to pay the bills. Suddenly, you want to expand 5 times more than you could afford. Suddenly, you want to learn more. Suddenly, you feel like you're not praying strong enough. I'm going to try harder this time. Suddenly, you pay attention to the word. You say, you know what? I got to do this all over. I'm missing out. Suddenly, you're yearning for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Say, HaShem, I want more. Give me more. Suddenly, the world looks strange to you. Not because they're bad, but they're just different. They don't have any Emunah in HaShem. They have Emunah in something else. In themselves, in their money, in their effort, their skill, their ability, their intellect, their beauty, their position, their health. All the things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can take away, just like that. But you sit there, simple you, alone with God with you. Something that no one in the world can take from you. So long as you don't let them give you a bribe. With that being said, Rabotai, I think each and every single one of us should at the very least start on a path to acquire Emunah in the right way. Not by just simply hearing ourselves, try to encourage ourselves to believe. But more importantly than that, eliminating all of those barriers that are causing us not to believe. Because you can convince yourself 500 million times. So long as the barrier is there, it's there. So there are certain things that are easier for us to get rid of. There are certain things that are more difficult. Each person needs to do some of each. And you'll be surprised that as soon as you get rid of something that is forbidden, you'll realize that you never really wanted it anyway. You never benefited from it. You thought that it was something else. You believed it was something else. But the second that you get a whole new relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, without this barrier, without this lust, without this bribe that the Yetzirah is giving you, it's a whole new version of you. It's a whole new version of life. It's a life that's worth living.
Shalom V'chai, everybody. We're back here in the United States after 6 extraordinary weeks in Eretz Yisrael, the Holy Land. We saw extraordinary things there. The beauty of the Kotel, the beauty of the land itself, and of course, the extraordinary beauty of the Chachamim. A huge event where several thousand people showed up to honor the Torah alongside us and also hear the wisdom of Gedolei Ador was what we started the trip with. But along the next several weeks, we got to meet many other Chachamim, spoke in many different places, kollels, yeshivot, Beit Knesset, and we got to see some of the most extraordinary things I've ever seen in my life. But one of the things that we did see that is not as exactly as exciting is the spiritual poverty that's in Eretz Yisrael in certain places. Places like Tel Aviv, places that people are walking the streets without having a concept of what modesty is, without having a concept of who the God of Israel is, without even having a concept that the fact that they're stepping on holy ground. These are our holy brothers and sisters that we've dedicated our life to help to get them closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And one of the things that we're doing in the United States, in Australia, in Canada, in England, and many other places around the world. Baruch HaShem, we've succeeded in doing it. But one of the other things that we did see is also that there's a material poverty. A material poverty is simply so abundant, so extraordinary that it breaks your heart. We're sitting in our house when the next door neighbor decided to pass by to say hello, and while they were saying hello, they asked us if we have any extra toys because they simply couldn't afford to buy their kids any toys. Of course, my kids gave them their toys, and Baruch Hashem, we got to fulfill the mitzvah. But there are thousands upon thousands of these types of families. Families of Chachamim, families of Tzaddikim that simply have poverty as a standard way of living. These are the types of families that we've dedicated our lives to help as well. Over the last few years, we've helped tens of thousands of people to feed them during the holidays, to get them toys, to get them clothes, to get them beds, to get them whatever we possibly can. During this trip, we also lost a very dear friend, one of our partners in the distribution, a very dear friend of ours, Giveret Ital, that really dedicated her life to helping Am Yisrael. We're going to miss her, but as a dedication to her, as a dedication for Klal Yisrael, and as another way to honor our Kadosh Baruch Hu, we're continuing to do our food distribution as well as our spiritual distribution. We need your help. This time of the year is Rosh HaShana, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, the high holidays. These are the times where most people donate the most of their money during this time of the year because they need the righteous judgment. They need the good judgment. They need to be blessed with a new child, with financial success, with a health miracle, with all types of issues. And Baruch Hashem, people know that the blessings of the Mezakei HaRabim, people that have dedicated their life to helping Am Yisrael, those blessings get a special VIP treatment in Shamayim. Over the years, we've had many people tell us how each and every single one of their blessings that they received from us was fulfilled during that year. And as a result of their donations, they got many, many more folds of blessings than they could ever imagine. Please, partner with us during this time of the year. Be generous and also be understanding that this is the time where every single one of us gets judged and every one of us needs a little help. If we help HaKadosh Baruch Hu's children, spiritually and materially, there's no doubt in my mind that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will also help us as well. Thank you very much for all of your support over the years. May Hashem continue to bless you, and BeEzrat Hashem, we will all have a Shana Tova.
ידידיי ואהוביי, אחיי ואחיותיי היקרים. אם שמתם לב, ארגון בעזרת השם פעיל במשך כל השנה. הפעילות שלו מתבצעת במישור הגשמי והרוחני. זאת אומרת, לדאוג לאחינו בית ישראל, גם לנשמה וגם לגוף. ישנם אנשים שעניים בתורה. ישנם אנשים שעניים מבחינה כלכלית. לקחנו על עצמנו את התפקיד הקשה לדאוג גם מבחינה רוחנית וגם מבחינה גשמית לכלל ישראל בארץ ובעולם. ברוך השם, עד היום נעזרו על ידינו עשרות אלפי אנשים. משפחות נזקקות, לא רק מבחינה רוחנית, גם מבחינה גשמית, אם זה סלים בחגים, אם זה אוכל, אם זה שתייה, אם זה עזרה בעניינים רפואיים, בכל דבר ועניין שהיה, נרתמנו לעזור, והחידוש הגדול שלא על מנת לקבל פרס. בלי אחוזים, בלי עניינים, עוד הפוך. ראשי הארגון באים ותורמים מכספם את כל מה שצריך כדי לבוא ולעזור לעם ישראל. זה הארגון היחיד שאני יכול לבוא ולהעיד שכולו לשם שמיים. לכן ידידיי ואהוביי, אנחנו מבקשים את עזרתכם לבוא ולהמשיך להפוך את העולם למקום יותר טוב, הן מבחינה רוחנית, הן מבחינה גשמית. ואנחנו בקמפיין הקבוע שלנו לימים נוראים, לפני החגים, שאנחנו באים ודואגים לאלפי אנשים בסלי מזון, בעזרה לחגים ובשאר מצרכים. לצורך זה פתחנו בקמפיין גיוס המונים של עזרה לנזקקים, ועוד קמפיין של תמיכה כללית בפעילות הארגון שנלחם במשך כל השנה בכוחות הרע, בעניינים של כפירה, בהפצת תורה ויהדות. כל מי שירצה לבוא ולהיות שותף, כאן בדף הזה של הקמפיין, מוזמן לבוא ויקבל ברכת שמיים, שכל משאלות לבכם יתקיימו לטובה. שנה טובה ומתוקה, שנה טובה ומבורכת, ארגון בעזרת השם.